I'm Sipho Makhubela, I'm CEO of Harith. Let me just quickly talk about Harith first, so that there's context to why you should even bother listening to me for a second, and nothing more than that. I mean, so Harith was founded 15 years ago. We are one of the largest investors on the continent. We manage over $1 billion of assets under management. We literally invest in 5 core infrastructure areas, transport being one of them, energy, digital infrastructure, health, and water. We've invested in over 10 countries across the continent. Over the past 15 years, we've probably have about 16 investments in terms of investing companies where we have deployed capital, and Traxtion is one such. The kind of things we invest in are power stations, airports, repeat Traxtion, what they do on rail. We are quite proud of what they've done, and I'll come back to Traxtion for a second. But 15 years for us is nowhere near the 35 years that is Traxtion. So I really stand here with a lot of respect. We are not even half Traxtion's age. Much as we are invested in Traxtion, we are quite respectful of literally what Roy has done, what Brian has done, and what Jamie is doing. And I'll come back to a couple of things on that, on some of the key things, certainly from an investor point of view, on what is important in terms of what makes a success, for, at least for ourselves, on what we look at, how we invest cash. And I think from a South African context, with where the rail reform is, there's quite a bit of context to check to in that regard. We've done a lot of good things. We've made a lot of good investments. We've also lost quite a bit along the way. And so I'm not here to talk really a conversation that is just all rosy. Some things go good, and when they go good, they go really good. And we've had some where they go bad, they go really bad. So a lot of what I can talk to you about is not one that is, with rose-tinted glasses of thoughts. Complicated that with investing on the continent where Traxtion operates. It's quite important to also locate Traxtion. Much as the base is in South Africa, they're not operationally a South African company. We are truly a Pan-African company. The work that Traxtion does spans the length and breadth of the continent, maybe short of doing work in North Africa, and we're not saying that will never happen. But for us, we've done investments north, south, west, east, everywhere. And it takes a lot to appreciate and understand and navigate investing on the continent. But so there's some of the things that we look for, and I'm going to say some of them in passing quickly before I focus on rail and reform. And I'm saying this because, to be honest, they are what define Traxtion. One, and first and foremost, and these are not cliches, because some of them you can easily dismiss them as cliches, but finding the right management team is an extremely crucial, important first step. In our shop, I don't care how good the opportunity is. If it's in the wrong hands, I'm going to pass. And part of the reason why we have invested, as Brian said, in 2017 and have continued to invest and will continue to invest is because, first and foremost, the management team is exceptional, the management team is world-class, and I think all of us here couldn't be more proud that the journey that began 35 years ago is in absolutely great hands. And I can look forward to the next 35 knowing that the hands that are driving this ship will make us all sleep well at night. It's not only important for us as shareholders, but it's important for us as a country to showcase the caliber of what we have. And I think being here in Rosedale could not be more of a testament. If we had this thing in Rosebank where the head office is, I think it would be lost on us. It's good to come here, smell, walk it, taste the oil a bit, get the sense of the people who work and walk the workshop. And what is great about this management team is that hopefully that's what you've seen. What I've seen having walked through is a common thread of who Traction's people are. And the thread defines what Jamie and his team have built. So that's a big thing for me, what defines what ends up being successful or not. But what's also equally successful is partners and shareholders that are around the table. You know, it's hard to see true north and define true north if those that you are around and you hang around with in these board meetings and whenever else don't see the true north in the same way that you do. And I think for the most part, in agreeing with what Brian said, what Jamie has is the blessing of having shareholders who believe in the story, who believe in the sector, who believe in Africa's development, and who are only there to support and not want to manage. We don't manage, Jamie manages. We really try to give him a thriving environment. And I think for me, those hallmarks make for what is a good, successful business. And I think that's what we have here. I'm going to jump through a lot of things. I only have 5 minutes. But there are a couple of things, certainly when we then work in particular outside of the borders, which are equally applicable. South Africans, we can be quite misinformed and think that these things apply elsewhere. They don't apply to us. They equally apply to, because capital doesn't care. It looks for it. And for us, we manage capital. I will look for it regardless of where you are, right? So the environment in which we are at needs to provide a thriving environment. And I will come back to this point in a second. Politically and otherwise, we need a stable, defined environment that enables, that for the most part is predictable, that doesn't have too many shocks. And as we enter in this rail reform that we're in, it's quite important that those hallmarks for the country begin to really come up. Now, all of you are in the sector more than I am, live it, breathe it, so some of the things I'm going to say, I think we are more experts on, but I'm going to say what I want to say. And if I'm wrong, it's me, it's not Jamie, and that's okay. So some of the things that I deem to be quite pivotal to what will make our rail reform quite successful. One is understanding the juncture at which we are at as a country. We are at a very hard, sticky spot where growth has been elusive for years, let's be honest. Growth has been elusive for years. I almost said we've just come out of, I'm not sure if we have, we've just come out of, we're in the throes of, I don't know whether it's rampant corruption, but we all are feeling the effects of that. Let's just cut to the chase. And those are things that, from a context point of view, as we work through this rail reform, we need to take a serious hard look at ourselves as a country and say, where do we want this thing to take us? If you look at the world as we have it, we have a world that's dealing with rising inflation, diminished growth the world through. So if we think the world owes us a favor, it's not going to happen. It's up to us to get up there and make this reform work and work as best as we can to give the country a chance to find that growth. And once we find that, then capital will come. Capital will fall. Some of the things, I've got 2 things to say on what I believe are key things as we talk about this rail reform and where the sector is at and where I think the sector should go. One, in the context of where the country is at, not where the world is at. The world has just come through and is dealing with post-COVID issues, absolute disruption around supply chains, and as we know it, globalization that we know is not going to happen going forward in the way that we've known it. So we are at an intersection where, from a world point of view, what is in a very different way, I like the word nearshoring, it's going to be what's going to take over from globalization. Things need to be much closer. We've seen what it's like when China closes down and things don't go forward. Now rail is at the extreme center of how those disruptions, those changes are going to really, from a country point of view, define how we go forward. And that's key for us as we do this rail reform, to place those things and understand them for what they are. Some of the key things that are going to make sure that we get this thing right is these access rights. Certainly for ourselves as an investor, and I say a lot of capital, if you're going to look at them, we've got to get that right. Now I'm going to talk about what we look at, and the very many, Jamie and many others. If you are going to talk about access rights that are going to make sense for capital, infrastructure inherently is long dated. You're not going to put this kind of infrastructure and then look for a short-dated contract and hit and hope and let's see what happens after a year or two. So infrastructure, as you see it, in issues that are besetting ESCOM, you need to have long-dated contracts, 20-year PPAs, 30-year PPAs, that give certainty for capital that this is going to be a home where you can have predictable environments, predictable cash flows, predictable outcomes for you. So we need to get the access rights completely right if we're going to attract the right capital. If we stick with the short-dated stuff, I think we're going to shoot ourselves in the foot. We'll have short-dated partners, we'll have short-dated and short-sighted capital that is fleeting. For what we are looking for to reform the sector, the capital that is happy to take the risk and take the risk for a long term. So that's one key thing. Policy certainty is key. I think you only need to look at the mining sector and what we were and what we are, purely as a consequence of uncertainty from a policy framework point of view. But I believe it's going to be key, and in particular, as we talk through the need to change what is globalization as it's inevitable. We need a seriously clear sense of what service level commitments are going to be. If you are going to uproot a customer, a supplier, whatever that is, from looking in particular to the East, China, and otherwise for procurement and everything else, they need to know that things are going to work here. If we are all going to, as we rightfully should, and push to move things to rail, we need to know that, Jamie, if you're going to move goods from Durban to Tanzania in 4 days, that 4 days better happen. Because that's just what the world and competition mean. And so for us, as we go through these reforms, part of the things that we all need to be sticklers for is service levels that are exceptional, service levels that rival China, Singapore, India, and the rest. And then for us as a country, we take our fair share of what we believe is rightfully our space under the sun from a market share point of view, and then capital will come. Capital will find the likes of Traxtion. Traxtion already has the right ingredients from partners, from management, from the right people. It just needs the comfort of the environment that makes it happen. And so Jamie and the whole team, I couldn't be more proud of what you guys are. I couldn't be more proud to share this moment with you and enjoy the 25th birthday and anniversary that, literally under these circumstances, with where the economy is, it's a bloody good story. And from a Harith point of view, for our small part, we could only be thankful that we are part of your story. Our job is to support you, is to make you thrive, and for that you can always count on us. And so for everybody who's here, in closing, I just want to thank you if you are a partner of one nature or the other, whatever role you have played and will continue to play in helping this business from the humble beginnings that it started 35 years ago. Ensure that we hold everybody accountable, that this 35-year journey cannot stop now. And I'm quite confident and comfortable to say that, 35 years later, we all wish Rob was here to really tell his story. But I think, Brian did a good job in chronicling that. But let this 35th year mark really the beginning of what the next chapter, 35 years hence, is going to be told like. And I am very confident that 35 years hence, whether I'm here, whether you're here, is irrelevant. That 35 years hence, we'll look back and mark today as a reason why the next 35 will be better than the first 35. Thank you.
Traxtion. Be exponential.